You're connected to Business Wrap. Find us online at businesswrap.biz, on Twitter using handle AskBizWrap, and on Facebook just search Business Wrap. And now, Be Insured with Luke Mardigian, presented by Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hello, and thank you for listening. My name is Luke Mardigian, and you are listening to Be Insured, a show where we discuss a variety of topics related to insurance, business, leadership, so you can stay protected while you are growing a thriving business and living your life. So when it comes to insurance and you make a claim to your insurance provider, you expect that claim to be paid, right? Well, that's not always the case. And what I hear from clients whenever there isn't coverage for something is, why in the world do I even pay for insurance? Well, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about reasons why your claim wouldn't be paid and what you can do to avoid those issues. And we have a great group of guests today, and they are...
Roger Graff, Vice President of Claims, Farm Bureau Insurance.
Justin Maxim with Chase Bylenga, Halston, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Ben Vrobel with Camelot Service Company in Lansing.
All right, so let's talk about this. Reasons your claim wouldn't be paid. Would arguing with the insurance company get your claim denied?
Arguing? Yeah, that's kind of...
Just being mean? No, that's not going to get your claim denied, right?
No, what happens is, the adjuster that's handling the claim, they go by the policy. So whatever the policy dictates what's going to happen. Now, there are ways of presenting a claim to have a better experience. That's what it's about.
Yeah, being cordial goes a long way. Prior to going on the air, Ben, you said something really interesting about that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that I've been associated with a claim, and the insured just gets combatant right off the get-go with the adjuster, with us, and develops a bad chemistry throughout the remainder of the claim. And sometimes they can have a hard time working with the adjuster, and that just does not go well for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, is just, generally speaking, when you're cordial and polite to people, they actually did a study that if you say please twice when you're asking for something, people are more likely to give it to you. So you sound like, really silly saying please, please twice, but just being nice goes a long way. It's not going to get your claim denied if you're being rude, but being nice is certainly going to help your case. Let's talk about some other reasons. So let's talk on the auto side. All right. So I'm in a car accident. I file a claim with my insurance company to get my car repaired, and also file a claim against the at-fault party because I was injured. Believe it or not, this is going to blow your mind. Insurance companies are in the business of paying claims. That's why they exist. So you file your claim, they're in the business of paying claims. Does it always play out that way, Justin?
No, unfortunately it doesn't. And I've got a different maybe stance on that. But no, generally that's not the way it always goes. There are...
Particularly if an attorney's involved, of course. So I'm sure most of your cases it was something where they weren't getting paid.
Usually, if my clients get a hold of me right away, I can open the claim. I take the same approach as you guys do. Is the nicer you are to the claim rep, the easier you make it on them, the easier the claim is going to go. I don't take the approach of coming in saying, I'm an attorney, you do what I say. That is the way to get your claim backpedaling in a hurry. But no, there's not always... sometimes when I take cases, coverage is afforded and we're just trying to process the claim. There's other times where coverage has to be investigated, or there's coverage denied, and I've had to deal with those issues as well. But like Roger said, sometimes that comes down to either the contract, what the contract says. What does your policy say? What was covered and what wasn't? Sometimes it's a little bit broader than that, and it's a statutory interpretation as, was this a relative resident? Where were you residing? Other issues, was it an unlawful taking? I've dealt with some of those cases. So there's a lot of different things that come into play. My advice is always, call your attorney early. When it comes to an auto case, maybe in other types of claims, that's not as important. But the no-fault system, as it's supposed to be simple, It's really not. There's a lot of moving parts, and lay people I deal with it on a daily basis. When you are involved in an auto accident, you didn't plan on it. You're thrust into the no-fault system, and there's a lot of moving parts, and if you don't understand it, it can consume you in a hurry.
Yeah, there's so many factors that play into auto liability claims in particular, which again, that means that you were in a car accident and somebody was injured and someone's going to sue somebody. There's so many things that muddy it up. In my prior life, prior to opening the Mardigian agency, I investigated insurance fraud. That's what I did for 5 years. And about 99% of the things I investigated weren't insurance fraud. It was just a really weird set of circumstances that it was really difficult to figure out what happened, how it happened, who's owed what, whether they're owed or not. Was there a policy in place is sometimes the question. So, insurance companies aren't looking for ways to deny your claim, but the messier it is, the more complex it is. If it's not just a straightforward, I ran the red light, there's 10 witnesses who say I ran the red light, it's probably going to take some massaging of that, just like it would be if you had something where you're asking of your spouse, hey, spouse, I want X, Y, Z. Well, they're going to ask why. You're going to have a conversation. You're going to have to massage that because, when Ben wants a new boat, that's a conversation he has to have with his wife. Right. Well, if you want your claim paid, that's a conversation you have to have with your insurance company.
Absolutely. From an industry standpoint, I think you could go right down the line and ask any insurance company, what do you want to do? And basically every insurance company will say, well, we want to pay what we owe. Yep. Bottom line, we want to pay what we owe. Now, there's a varying degree of that, no doubt about it. But when it comes to communication, you're exactly right. That communicate with the insurance company, be it through an attorney, be it through yourself, whatever, be very open, be very, very transparent. If you withhold things, that's where the challenge comes, where if you're involved in an auto accident and the adjuster asks you, any previous injury, in that particular part of the body, things of that nature, and you say, oh, absolutely not. They're going to pull medical records, you're going to sign, and bingo, they might, and if you're not telling the truth, that's where the challenge is. So it's just, you have to be totally upfront and you'll have a much, much better experience. And from a insurance standpoint, what we do is we take the policy, we look at it, and we try to find coverage. There's two ways of doing it. One is you look at it to deny coverage. Where can I go to the exclusions part of the policy and say, that's it, there's no coverage. Or you try to find coverage. And what we, at least, certain, companies, can't speak for every one of them, but I should be able to speak for all of them. But yeah, that's what we do. We look for, the coverage but if it's not there, I'm the first to say, because the misconcept is I pay a premium and no matter what happens, I should have coverage for everything.
Yep, that's what I hear all the time.
And that's just, unfortunately, the reason why that's not true is that no one, including myself or anybody here, or you couldn't afford insurance. If you wanted a maintenance policy to cover everything that would go wrong, it would just be astronomical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. Is really, insurance is a contract. When you pay your premium, when you sign your name on an application, you're agreeing to pay premium in exchange for hopefully to be indemnified in the event you suffer a loss of some type, whether that's water in your basement, a pipe breaking, getting hit by somebody else when you're not at fault, whatever it is, you're looking for an insurance company to provide that coverage. Well, that contract is not just one page, and it doesn't say you pay us, we pay you. It's complex and nuanced, and that's why attorneys have to be involved, and that's why insurance agents have to go through so much to become good insurance agents. And it's just so important that everybody who's listening knows there are conditions to the policy that you have to do. Most of the work is on the insurance company, but there are little simple things that you have to do. You have to notify them quickly.
It's a two-way street. Yeah. It isn't, even though the contract's written from the point of the insurer, it's a unilateral contract, meaning that the insured, you really don't have a part in what's written into the contract, but still it's a two-way street. You have to do certain things.
Yeah. And I think what's even more important than necessarily after the loss has occurred is being transparent before the loss has occurred when you're getting insurance, because like you said, a lot of the issues I've dealt with isn't somebody that's being dishonest with their insurance company. It's a messy situation. Not everybody has or is a married couple with the kids living in the household these days. There are very different scenarios
Absolutely.
going on, and insurance it's a risk-based business that's trying to cover your situation. And if you don't tell them what your situation is and be completely transparent with that, your agent can't cover you for what they don't know is what's going on. Hey, me and my girlfriend are separated right now, or me and my wife are living in separate households. How should I change my insurance if I need to, or do I need to?
Yep, that's one of the most common situations that we run across. Even doing in fraud investigation, I mean, most of the issues were actually at the agent level, before the potentially years before the claim even occurs, and that's why it's so important to have an agent that you can talk to, because your situation is so unique. Whether it's same-sex couples, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever your relationship status is, those things affect your insurance. And then the time to figure that out is not when you have a claim.
Right, and that's where staying up to date with your agent and having that open communication, because things change from year to year. But if you sign up for insurance, like you said, years ago, and you just renew that policy every year, but things are changing, but your agent doesn't know, when that loss does occur, then they look at the policy and they say, you don't have coverage for that because we didn't know that was going on.
And that's a great point. I mean, even stepping on, go beyond auto, because auto's pretty, I mean, that's a pretty common thing with with the application but take a homeowner. A homeowner has a home and they decide to put an addition on the house. So they insure the house in the beginning at X amount of dollars, and they put an addition onto it. They've invested a lot more into that house. Well, life is life, and it's proper for the insurance company to collect the proper premium for the exposure. So now, exaggerated, but if you doubled the size of the house, you need to notify your insurance agent of what you did. Because if you don't,
if you want it paid,
if you want it paid, if you want what you've invested in paid, meaning I had it insured for this amount and now, oops, I just doubled the value of it. I mean, would you expect to receive full payment for that? You shouldn't expect it, because the insurance carrier isn't charging the proper premium.
Yeah, they're not even aware that it's there.
Right.
Yep. So we talked a little bit earlier about there's conditions in the policy that our listeners need to know about. One of them is generally speaking, there's a million ways that policies say this, but generally speaking, you need to let your insurance company know sooner than later. The sooner, the better. Ben, with Camelot, could you speak to some claims that you've been involved in where they don't notify right away, and how has that impacted things? I mean, whether they do or don't in the outcome of the claim.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours about different scenarios that I've been involved in, but one of the biggest things that we come across, or the most common, is pre-existing damage. A lot of times where there's a new loss, new water damage sitting on top of old water damage, and your policy is designed to put things back to pre-loss condition.
Right.
But there could be certain scenarios that weren't necessarily addressed before, or that aren't sudden and unexpected, that were associated with this claim, that now the contractor kind of has to figure out, well, we've got to fix this in order to fix that, but this wasn't part of this last incident, so who's going to pay for it? So really being open and going back to transparency, and that open line of communication, and working well with your insurance company, and know they want to pay for what's fair and what's expected. But if you start trying to work around things to get certain coverages for things that weren't necessarily affected, you're going to have an issue working with them in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So you notify your insurance company, and then you need to, let's say that you have a home claim, or your building where your business is damaged. The second call you got to make is to a really good contractor. I've seen it so many times where contractors, particularly who aren't really involved in insurance, where they're just, they do a good work, drywalling for friends or whatever they do. But then they get this opportunity to get this big check from an insurance company, and they jump all over it, and they don't really know how the process goes. So working with a contractor who knows what they're doing and knows how to work with insurance companies is absolutely key to that, because then you don't have the issue of, I had one that the contractor submitted a bid and it had 8 lines on it. And this was for a building that was half burned down. I mean, I'm not a contractor, but I am confident more than 8 things are going to be done on that. And there's more than 8 pieces of lumber, even different types of lumber.
And damages today, I mean, structural damages today, I mean, there's software programs, and there's a couple that insurance carriers use. I mean, and it's just common to have those to use that.
Yep. So it's critical. Notify your insurance company quickly. Be transparent, not just on the claim, but when you're actually applying for insurance. And at the end of the day, insurance companies want to pay your claim. And so do everything you can to help yourself avoid the ways that you can get your claim denied as an insured. And that starts with a good agent. And then at time of claim, having a good auto body repair shop, a good contractor, and making sure that you have an open line of communication with the insurance company. Thank you so much for listening today on Be Insured. And my guests today were
Roger Graff, Vice President Claims, Farm Bureau Insurance.
Justin Maxim with Chase Bylenga, Halston, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And Ben Vrobel with Camelot Service Company in Lansing.
And I'm Luke Mardigian with the Mardigian Agency, Farm Bureau Insurance of Michigan. Thanks so much for listening in.